Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and it's great to see you all here on day 2 of the Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum. I'm excited to have a short dialogue here, a quick dialogue with an innovative thinker, expert on geopolitics and how the world works. He happens also to be the CEO of Repsol, a major global oil and gas company, energy company, not only oil and gas, but raw materials exploration, low carbon solutions, the whole gamut. Josu Jon Imaz, thank you for being here, CEO of Repsol. Really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Landon, and thank you for having me here. It's a real honor for me.
So in preparing for this conversation, I was looking back to when you took over as CEO in 2014. And at that time, oil prices collapsed within 6 months of your tenure, your new tenure as executive of this company. Russia invades Crimea, a lot of volatility in the world, and reflecting, how things right now, as we look at 10 years later, 2022, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, geopolitical strife in the Middle East, volatility is a feature of this business, and I'm really interested to hear how you're thinking about what can be done to reduce that market volatility. But in the context of this, the United States over that decade have taken maybe separate, sometimes divergent paths, not exclusively, but what are we looking at in the landscape between the EU and the US and that managing that volatility?
So first of all, let me say, Landon, that volatility is part of this business. We don't invest for 1 year. We invest for 10, 20, 25 years. So we know that in the midst, we are going to suffer this kind of ups and downs. That is part of our business. And for us, being in the States is, a good decision. We are happy being here. We have invested almost $20 billion over the last 20 years in the States. That for the dimension of our company is a huge amount of money. This year, we are going to invest $2 billion in the US. And let me say, we feel at home here in the US. And not only because the business, a friendly environment, and that is important to underline in these complex days, because we are part of the same community of values. We share the value of human rights, respect of democracy, balance of power, market-friendly areas. Atlanticism and the concept of Atlantic Council, for me, represents all these kind of values. And on top of that, let me say that being here in the States is a good decision because you have a friendly country to invest here. Friendly because, first of all, it's a large market, 340 million people. It's the largest global economy. On top of that, you have a market-friendly orientation in all your policies, and that is very important for a company investing in the long term, the respect of rule of law. And let me say, being in the energy sector, you have a very important thing. You have an energy ambition to produce more energy, either molecules or electrons in the country, and you have a deregulation agenda. And you respect the principle of technological neutrality with no biases. We need more energy. We need an energy transition, of course, but we need an energy transition based on technology and not based on ideology. And sometimes, and I'm sad saying that, in Europe we forgot the principle of the energy trilemma. We forgot the security of supply concept, and we built dependence on Russia, and we risk to build dependence on China now regarding the electric vehicle and some forms of mobility. We forgot the concept of affordability, and we suffer in 2022, 2023, and European families suffer to pay the energy bills, and our industry is suffering the energy cost. And I think that all that is important and has to be respected. My hope is that after the release of a Draghi report last summer, I think that this is a clear claim that we have to take action, and we need a radical change in European energy policies. Now, we need leadership, and we need speed.
So the Draghi report obviously being the one on competitiveness and how Europe can respond to this world, which is increasingly difficult to operate and have business certainty. You're putting billions of dollars in the United States, but you didn't talk about billions of dollars in Europe. So I'm thinking about the opportunities and change in that report in particular that maybe enables Europe to be on the same footing for that scale of investment.
I mean, we are an integrated company. That means that we have our downstream business, and we are a Spanish company, an Iberian company, proud of being Spanish. And I mean, part of our activities is there. As 60% of our capital employed is in Spain and Portugal, our refineries, our service stations, our retail power business, and so on. And a 35%, that could be something close to a current 90% of the total E&P investment effort is here in the US. So from the point of view of the E&P, we are an American company. And what we need in Europe to be more attractive, because we are also a very large market, when we take into account the European Union and the European common market, including UK, Iceland, Norway, and so on, we are more than 500 million people. So we are a very large market. But we need mainly three things that are clearly described in the Draghi report. First, we need less regulation. We have too many directives, bills, laws, regulation, and so on. And that is for the 60% of the European companies, being over-regulated is the main obstacle to invest in Europe. So I think that there is a clear message there. On top of that, you have the advantage of being a single market. We aim to be a single market, but we still have a lot of internal barriers in Europe, and we have to overcome and erase these barriers. And there is another aspect that is very important in the Draghi report related to our sector. We have to respect the principle of technological neutrality. I mean, I always underline a point. You Americans saved Europe many times in the 20th century, and sometimes putting the blood and the life of your people to defend the freedom of Europeans. I can't forget that. But you also saved Europe in 2022. The American fracking saved the European energy system in 2022 and 2023. Mm-hmm. And it's a contradiction because, I mean, in many European countries, fracking, including mine, fracking is forbidden. Exploring and producing natural gas is forbidden in many European countries, including mine. And at the same time, we say to our friends, please, I need your gas. It's great. We love American gas. Repsol, we have contracts from the Gulf of America to supply our Spanish system. But I think that we need to be more coherent to boost and to enhance and to increase the investment in Europe.
So, it's interesting hearing you draw out these specific elements of the Draghi report and then pivot to geopolitics. Yeah. Because the competitiveness narrative has really kind of been overtaken by events. And there's two things about that. One, of course, you have the ongoing invasion in Ukraine and European energy security, and now you have a crisis in the Middle East. And then you compound that with a thematic of this forum this week, which has been this surging aspect of energy demand from AI and features that are reshaping the energy system again. Yeah. How should we be thinking about energy security in this context?
I mean, energy security is crucial. And more, as you mentioned, Landon, in a context where we need more energy. Today we are 8.2 billion people in the world. We are going to be probably by 2040, 2050, more than 9.5 billion people. So more people, more prosperity. I can't forget that, roughly speaking, 90% of current humans, they don't know the experience of flying in a plane. So I want for this 90% of humans the same prosperity you, myself, and my family, they have. That means more energy. On top of that, in this fantastic forum of Atlantic Council, we have listened over these 2 days the need of AI, the increasing power to feed this artificial intelligence. In the States, you are going to need, year after year, 3% more of power to feed all these systems. So We need security, reliability. That is crucial. So in this sense, I think that again, this concept of more integration and more linkage between the European and the States in energy terms is very positive because, I mean, today, promoting and boosting the Atlantic energy concept is very positive in terms of security of supply because you are, in some way, a safe harbor, a safe supply country. I mean, today, increasing the connection between the Gulf of America and Europe in terms of natural gas is a positive way to cope with the problem of having a reliable partner for the future. I mean, this morning I listened in this stage that, I mean, some people saying that perhaps we have to think about having a reliable partner for coming 20 years because we had this experience with the Russians, and we failed. I mean, I can't compare the Russians with the Americans. The Americans, you saved Europe, as I mentioned before, twice over the last 100 years. We share the same kind of values. I mean, I think that we have to boost this reliable relationship between the European Union and the States to guarantee the energy needs of Europe. On top of that, I mean, we have our own duties also at home. We have to explore our own resources. That is going to arrive. It's not easy. I mean, everybody say, okay, because in Europe we don't explore natural gas because we lack of resources. That's not true.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There really is a need for clarity. Countries are going to pursue energy sets that match their indigenous competitive advantages, right? And it's interesting to think about it as one strong monolithic United States and then a very fractured European independent state model for doing that. And so it'll be curious, you know, how that moves forward. Let's just focus on the United States, so on two facets. One on policy and one on finance. In the policy space, do you see solutions? You know, a hot debate here in Washington, D.C. is often the merits of permitting reform and getting things built. Like, do we need to pull down red tape?
I mean, I think that permitting is a problem everywhere. It's a problem in the U.S., it's a problem in the European Union, and I think that we have to put all the political tools on the table to accelerate the permitting of energy infrastructures. Because, I mean, we had the governor of Alaska some minutes ago here and telling us about the experience of the TAP that was developed in 2.5 years, some decades ago. I mean, today, either in Europe or in the States, that will be impossible. We have to redress these kind of obstacles. We have, I mean, groups of interest that in a legitimate way, they defend their positions, but they can't be always the obstacles to the development of the infrastructures we need. Because, I mean, prosperity of people is behind this infrastructure. So I think that in a bipartisan way everywhere, I mean, I'm not talking about American politics, I say that for my own country, for Europe, and of course for the States, we need to put permitting at the very top of the agenda.
Well, you know, we had Senator Hickenlooper here to kick off the morning, and he did talk about the merits of some bipartisan thinking, at least getting to 60 votes in the Senate. So, you know, maybe there's opportunity space here, and hope to keep you in the city thinking about it. But let's talk about the other element that I was considering there, which is the financial aspect. And, you know, there's often a debate between is there enough capital out there, but are there bottlenecks and new financing mechanisms that can help close the infrastructure gap?
I mean, again, Landon, because, I mean, let me underline that I'm Spanish and European. I'm very proud of being European. But again, talking about financing, we have a problem. We define in Europe a concept that is called taxonomy, that is putting obstacles to finance. I mean, natural gas is almost impossible to be financed in Europe because, I mean, every European bank or institution that is ready to finance a gas project has some kind of punishment in terms of the use of capital coming from the European Central Bank for this concept that was defined as green taxonomy. So the same energy that we are using and we used to save Europe in the energy crisis is punished by the European financial system to be used. And, I mean, I don't accept that we do that on behalf the concept of decarbonization. That is not true. Because if we analyze what has happened in the world in 2022 and 2023, the main responsible of the increase of CO2 emissions were European policies. Because we lack and we forgot the concept of producing natural gas, and after the Russian disruption, we had to buy LNG all around the world, increasing the price of LNG and making impossible for many countries from the global south to use the LNG and forcing them to shift from gas to coal. So, I mean, we have to break this, let me say, nocive concept of a green taxonomy in Europe, because otherwise we are going to have obstacles to develop the energies, all the energies we need. And again, I'm not suspicious of not believing on decarbonization. I mean, 35% of the capex of our own company is devoted to low carbon technologies. That is a quite unique case in the oil and gas sector in the world. So, but I believe in all the molecules, including oil and gas, and in all kinds of electrons, nuclear, natural gas, and renewable. We are going to need all that to fulfill the needs of prosperity of the world.
Well, we need energy, that's for sure. And before we close out, I want to go really quickly, because I know the clock is out of time, to Alaska. We had the governor here today. You had a trip recently where you met with Doug Burgum and Chris Wright. And I just want to hear your reflections two ways. How is the United States thinking about that project from energy dominance? And how is Europe and Brussels thinking about this from an aspect of energy security?
So first, I'm happy being in Alaska. We bet in favor of Alaska 13 years ago as Repsol, discovering a significant amount of oil in the North Slope in a time where everybody was investing in the lower 48. And at the end of this year, with our partner Santos, we are going to start producing the first oil of a project that is going to change the history of the energy in Alaska. We are going to increase in almost 20% the total Alaska's oil production. So it's really I'm happy, I'm proud of being part of this history of transformation, of turning point of Alaska. And I think that we have to think, and the governor of Alaska explained that in a better way that I could do that this contribution of Alaska in terms of oil, in terms of gas, is in some way going to help also American allies in the Pacific Rim. And having more natural gas in the world is also going to contribute to shift from coal to gas in many countries of the global south. And again, we have to work in favor of the trilemma, and guaranteeing the security of supply, producing more resources, is also a way to have cheap energy and to decarbonize the world in a quick way, but at the same time preserving the prosperity and well-being of people. And I think that we have to be convinced with any kind of ideological bias in any direction, either in Washington or in Brussels.
Josu Jon, thank you for being a part of the story of how we're bridging these critical issues around the world, the transatlantic partnership, and a partner here at the Global Energy Forum. Please join me and thank you, the CEO of Repsol.